What's happening, people? How you darn? How you darn? Welcome in to the stream. Hopefully you've had a fantastic day and slash night. Start of your week is going well. It's a Tuesday where you are, a Wednesday where we are. Thanks for joining us. I see you guys in the chat. Let me know who I'm hanging out with. What's up, Sunraker? Sunraker says, would you do Benson and Amari Cooper for Brian Thomas and Zamir White? Benson and Amari Cooper for Brian Thomas and Zamir White. I think that's a pretty even deal, to be honest. I think across the board that's pretty even. We got a super chat as well to start off the stream from Travesty. Travesty says, hard to trade for superstars. Got offered Josh Allen for Lawrence, 2 firsts and 2 26 firsts. So in total 4 first round picks and Trevor Lawrence for Josh Allen. So essentially 4 first round picks and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that's definitely not a bad deal at all. You probably will not get Trevor Lawrence for a first on its own at this point. So getting 4 first round picks plus a player that's probably worth 2. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. I mean, look, it depends. How big is your league? If you're going to sit here and tell me that you play in an 8-man start, 8 super flex league, then we're keeping Josh Allen because you can't really sell him. But if you're in a 12-man, start 10 or 11 or start 9, and you're definitely looking at the future, don't feel like you can compete, then absolutely I think that's a fine deal for a Josh Allen. What's up, Styles? Welcome in. What's up, Crime Lord? Welcome in. Do me a favor, gang. Go ahead and smash that like button as the stream is starting. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. We are going to be helping people build some Dynasty teams here. 10 teams start 4 wide receivers. You have Trevor Lawrence. Okay, 10 teams start 4 wide receivers. Honestly, I think you can probably counter. But make it Trevor Lawrence and 3 firsts, and you get back Josh Allen in a second or something like that. But overall, I mean, that's not too far off in a 10-man league. In a smaller league, if you can only start 4 wide receivers, it's not far off at all, I'd say. I wonder what the chat thinks. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. But I definitely think it's pretty close. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We are going to be looking at helping people build better Dynasty teams on today's stream. And if you want your team reviewed, we have a pinned comment there that you can check out. Very easy. It's never been easier to get your team reviewed on the Flock Fantasy website. You no longer have to be a member. You can just get a team review if you so choose to do. But if you click on the link that I just put there in the chat, you just choose a league that you want us to look at, whatever team it is that you want us to look at. Put your Discord name in. Make sure the rookie picks are correct here. Put in any information that you want us to know, and you'll see Zach and Badaki here. Every team review is going to be live streamed. If you want to skip the queue and get one straight away, we have that option for you here. And then if you want 2 reviews for a cheaper price than what one would be, we have that option for you as well. So the first team that we're looking at tonight is from ISU03. In the chat, by the way, Travesty is saying rather have Allen. So that's Lawrence and 4 future firsts for Allen is what Silas says. Yeah, but 10-man league, start 4 wide receivers. So if you're in a start 4 wide receiver, you're probably start 9 super flex. That's not a huge league at all. But look, I think it's too much to pay at this point. I think if it was a 8-man league, I think it'd be easier. I have been playing College Football 25. Really exciting. It's a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to put some content out for you guys on my solo channel. But I recorded yesterday, and then the file got corrupted. So we'll see. We'll see what I'm able to do. Jeremy is here. You'll love to see it. Jeremy is with us in the chat. So we're going to go ahead and start his review. And I can promise anyone who buys a team review today that we will get it done today. Okay, so let's have a look. So looking at Marvin versus Caleb at the 101. So they haven't done their rookie draft yet. And then May or JJ at the 201. Then Nick's at the 201. I also thought about packaging the 107 and the 201 to try and move up for Daniels. Feels overloaded with Colts. Could potentially trade JT in a pick for Robinson. Looking forward to hear your thoughts. Okay, awesome. So you meant the 107. Okay, that makes more sense. So May or JJ at the 107. I was going to say, if you're getting May or JJ at the 201, I mean, you're getting one hell of a deal. But all right, let's have a look at the squad here. So this is a 10-man league. It is super flex, but there's no tight end premium. So this is actually pretty close to the league that we just talked about. Again, 10-man league, start 9. So this is what you're looking at here. All right, 10-man, start 9. So in total, you can start 4 wide receivers. So not the biggest of formats for sure. And that is something that we'll keep in mind as we look through it. But your team name is Better Call Hall, and you are currently 2nd in community rankings. If we look at my rankings here today, let's see where I would have you. I would have you 3rd, but pretty much 2nd. It's very close between those two. So let's have a look at the squad here. 10-man, super flex, start 9, half PPR league. And you've got A-Rich as your QB1. And obviously, you're considering between Marvin or Caleb at the 101 there. Well, we definitely have some options here with this team. Okay, so A-Rich, after that, nothing really outside of Daniel Jones, Gardner, the Raiders quarterbacks. At running back, we got Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor. There's a pretty big fall off to our next guy at Jerome Ford. At wide receiver, Olave, Pittman, DJ Moore, Watson, and then Kyle Pitts at tight end. So overall, I mean, this team isn't bad per se, but I thought you would have a better team considering your current rank in the community, just being 100% honest and transparent. We are hoping to fill our quarterback 2 void in the draft. I think we can. Our running back room is very weak outside of the top 2 names. It's very top heavy. And at the wide receiver spot, I'm not 100%. We have a 4th option that we can start. Again, the draft picks are there, so we're gonna create a better team here. Now, the good news is you have all of your picks in 2025. I'm gonna go ahead and assume you have all of your picks in 2023, but why don't you let me know if that is not the case? And we can. Did I say 2023? I meant to say 2026. If I said 2023, I meant to say 2026. If that's not the case, we can talk through it. But as of today, I don't know. Like, this doesn't seem like the second best team in a league to me. But that may speak to just how even your league is as a whole. Tiggle Gritties says, I like that name. CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy, he has got Mixon, Swift. And wow, he's definitely done the right thing in trading for superstars and screwing over all his depth. But he's a couple injuries away from being in a bad spot. So I think overall, this league is just, there's a lot of, even teams across the board. You can make a case for most of these teams. I wonder if your startup was done recently. I bet this league isn't over a year old. And if it is over a year old, actually, it probably is. Because look at MT Carter. Mr. Carter. Yeah, MT Carter is struggling. But we do have Jeremy in the chat, so we love to see it. He says, yes, I have all 24 and 25 plus the 107 and 24. Okay. He says, yes, just last year. Okay, so it is relatively a new league. All right, so the 101, the 107, the 201, the 301, and the 401. Let's confirm those are your picks. Just confirm that with me as we go through your team here in a second. But as of today, if I was to give your team a grade on a scale of A to an F, A plus to an F, I'd say this team is probably like a B plus range. I'd say B to B plus feels like where I would put this team. Now, you know, if some of these rookies that you're about to draft hit, you could definitely be in the A range. But why don't we first look at the rookie draft? Because I think you have some flexibility. So if you were to stick and pick, at the moment, you're trying to debate between Caleb at the 101 and then going May or McCarthy at the 107, or going Marvin at the 101. I think for me, I'm probably going Caleb Williams at the 101. And the reason being is, even if you don't want to build around Caleb Williams and you don't want to keep him into the season, I think in a super flex league, you're going to find it easier to probably sell him. But actually, this is a 10-man league, so that is something we have to consider. Let me ask you this, Jeremy. Do you think Roma Dunze is gone by the 107? I think that's an important question to ask. Will Roma Dunze be here, or do you have intel that he will already be gone? So let's play out these worlds. Let's play out the world where Roma Dunze is not available and where he is. Because I think that's two different strategies, two different ways to play. Did we have any information on that? Let me double check your review here. Let's see. He says it's 50-50. I think the 106 will go Bowers. Okay. You think the 106 will go Bowers? So let's have a look at the team who has the 106, and let's think this through critically together. So the 106 currently is Tiggle Biddies, and he has no tight end of note. So yeah, that does make sense. I mean, if I'm that team, I'm probably going Jonathan Brooks over Brock Bowers if I'm that team. But anyway, okay, so let's play out two different worlds here. Okay, so the world is if you think a Dunze will be there. All right, so we get Caleb, we get Roma Dunze at the 201. I think you have great options. I mean, Brooks for sure. You could use a guy like Jonathan Brooks, a third option behind Brees and JT. I think would be really, really smart to have a Brooks on this team. If Brooks isn't there, you know, Ladd is a great option. You talked about Bo Nix, of course, being an option there as well. You know, we also talked about Xavier Worthy. And then obviously Brian Thomas Jr., but he'll probably be gone by that point. But I definitely think that you could use a Jonathan Brooks on this team. And we are very confident on this channel that both Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson, we think they're both going to improve their value this year. So some of the cheapest running backs in a rookie draft ever, Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson this year. So definitely take advantage of that. But okay, so if you stick and pick and you don't, you know, you think Odunze is going to be there, I think that's the route forward. At the 301, you know, who's the best player available? Is there a Burton there? Is there a Polk? You know, thinking this through, the 301 would actually be what, the two... That's technically what, like the 209 in a normal league? So like Burton, Polk, Corum, Lloyd, those are all options there. There's a whole list of wide receivers that you could pick. And at the 401, BPA, of course. Now, scenario 2 is if you don't think Odunze will be there. And in this scenario, you go Marvin Harrison Jr., and then at the 107, you can choose between May or McCarthy. Now, here's what I'll say. In a 10-man league, I might actually lean towards the Marvin Harrison route, because when I said earlier that Caleb Williams is going to be more valuable, I was thinking from a 12-man league. But in a 10-man league, quarterbacks are a little bit easier to get your hands on. elite wide receivers, it's a little bit more difficult to get your hands on an elite wide receiver. So I think I might actually prefer this path myself. And then that wouldn't really change anything at the 201. Maybe you're a little bit more intrigued about Bo Nix there, you know, but I still think Brooks is a fantastic option. Maybe that means at the 301, you know, if Penix is there, he's your priority at that point. Now, this is, let's just say if Odunze won't be there. Now, let's play scenario 3 out for you, because I actually prefer a scenario that we haven't even talked about yet. And you guys know, if you know me, I've been the king of the tier of the trade down this year. Okay, I've done it in so many live drafts where you guys have watched us draft, and I like to view my draft picks as assets rather than, you know, okay, what player specifically can I get? I want to maximize this pick. So at the 101, can we trade down? And we don't want to trade down too far, but what offers are out there? You know what I mean? Like, for example, with the 101, can we go to the 103 plus something for Jaden Daniels? Because I've said this all offseason. A lot of people disagreed, but I've said this all offseason. I think Jaden Daniels could be the most valuable player in this class. I think he could outscore Caleb Williams in year 1. And what do you know? Already on underdog drafts, we're seeing Jaden Daniels getting drafted ahead of Caleb Williams. So it's not really that big of a surprise. So that's something to consider. But if we were to trade down with the 103, let's see the team that has the 103 here. Who has the 103? That's here's to you, Bijan. Okay. So currently he has Bryce Young, Matt Stafford, Russell Wilson. He's also got Bijan, Etienne, Jacobs, Kendra, A.J. Brown, Jordan Addison, Rashee Rice, Metcalf. So there's like so many scenarios here that could work in your favor. All right, so for example, I would trade down for Rashee Rice. I have Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams in the same tier. But I would prefer if you can get like a DK Metcalf and throw him your 301. That would be fantastic. That would fix a lot of problems for you. Free you up to take a quarterback if you need at the 107. How about instead of Rashee Rice, can he give us... Can we go hard on this and try and get A.J. Brown? In a 10-man league, I think that makes sense. So can we get A.J. Brown? We're going to send you the 101. And we're going to see, we'll have to get a little creative with this. The 101 and what? Like the 201? Try that. See if that will work. If that doesn't work, I think another option would be sending him your 107. But then asking in return for the 103 A.J. Brown and his 203. I think you can settle for the Rashee Rice deal. I think all these other deals are in play. It's going to come down to if that guy has a vested interest in Caleb Williams or not. The only other option is Travis Etienne. So because he already has Josh Jacobs, can he send you Travis Etienne? And maybe you can throw him... You can do a pick swap where he gets the 201. He sends you the 203 instead. And then you also send him over your 301. So there's a couple structures here where you trade down. And in this world, let's just play it out. Let's just say you got, I don't know, let's just say you got DK Metcalf, for example. Or, you know, what's the more realistic one? Maybe A.J. Brown because you send you 107. Okay. So in this deal, you still get Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels will be your quarterback 2. You lose the 107, but you gain the 203. So at the 201, you could still go Jonathan Brooks if you like, because remember, we already have DK Metcalf. So you could go Jonathan Brooks there if you want. And then at the 203, you're still in range for another one of these names. So realistically, if you traded down, if you got, let's say, DK Metcalf, that turns into Jaden Daniels as well at the 103. Again, we're trying to view this as an asset instead of putting a name to it. But you still get Brooks at the 201, for example, and then you also snag, you know, Xavier Worthy or something. So you've just turned the 101 and the 107 into Jaden Daniels, DK Metcalf, Jonathan Brooks, Xavier Worthy, and obviously we have the 201 there. So your team would look a little something like this. Okay, you'd have Anthony Richardson still, but your quarterback 2 would be Jaden Daniels. Imagine that rushing duo there. And then you've got Minshew, Jones, O'Connell as your quarterback 3. Your running back room would add Jonathan Brooks to Breece Hall and Jonathan Taylor. Your wide receiver room would add DK Metcalf to a solid 3. But you would also grab, who do we mention there? Xavier Worthy. That feels like the best use of your picks. So I think tearing down, you know, one spot, trading down one spot would be ideal. How about the 102? Like, you might not get the same deals, but who has the 102? The guy who has the 102, by the way, has Baker Mayfield as his quarterback 2, but he also has Cooper Kupp as his wide receiver 1. So look, there might not be as much incentive for this guy. But even something simple like the 204, like if you're really stuck on who to take, you know, can you use the 101, get the 102, and then let's just say add that 204 that he's got, and you're going to send him, you know, what was the other pick you have? The 304. Or the 301, is it? 301. So in this scenario, you're going to let that guy decide for you. You're fine with whoever falls to you, but you gain a second round pick and you move up instead of picking in the third round. That's another option. I wouldn't probably tear down any further. I mean, you could go to the 104 if Malik Neighbors is going to be there. Or maybe Daniels goes at the 104 in this league. But for example, could you go to the 104 and grab Nico Collins? Now, here's the issue. If you go to the 104, you don't control, you know, if you get Jaden Daniels or not. If you go to the 104, okay, great. We went to the 104. But the issue is, what if we're left with Malik Neighbors and then we have to take Drake May? So it's a little bit of a more difficult scenario to play out. But let's say that this guy offered me Nico Collins and the 104 for the 101. I'm probably taking that deal. Like, you know what I mean? I'm probably taking that deal and seeing what happens. Although this guy is most likely happy with Malik Neighbors, considering he has Herbert and Lawrence already. A couple scenarios there for you. Path moving forward, honestly, my path moving forward would be look at as many pre-rookie draft trades as you can. All right, don't feel a need to force something, but look at as many options where you can tear down. And that doesn't mean ultimately if you don't tear down and you just stick and pick like we talked about with scenario 1 and 2 that you're losing. Doesn't mean that at all. Just means if we can extract a little more out of that pick, then let's look at ways to do that. All right, as far as players on your team, so in a 10-man start 9, I'm not really wanting to get rid of a lot of these names. So I'm not trying to move Anthony Richardson, Breece Hall, JT. Like I would like to move from JT, but it makes it difficult in this sort of format because you want those top tier talents. Olave, Pittman, DJ Moore, Watson. You do have a lot of Colts. It does feel very Colt heavy, I agree. So we're not going to try and move A-Rich, but I don't mind the idea of like shopping JT or Pittman. You know, shop JT and Pittman. So is there a Colts fan in your league, potentially? As far as Pittman goes, I would be happy to tier, you know, kind of like do like a lateral move to like an Ayuk, a Waddle. What are some other names, I guess, in the Flock Fantasy community. Let's have a look. Let's see here. So in the community rankings around Michael Pittman, they got names like Devonta Smith, Tank Dell, Waddle, Adunze. I mean, shoot, can you sell Pittman for the 106 range? And then just take Adunze there and then a quarterback, right? Maybe you can get London in certain leagues. But I don't really want to tear down in this format. That's what makes it difficult, you know? We talked about Devonta Smith. I think that's a fine option as well. And let's look at KTC as well, just to see if there's any values out there that make a lot of sense too. So on KTC, he's pretty much in that same exact range. I mean, Nico Collins, for sure, if you can get a Nico Collins. I think that's a great move. Just getting out of that offense into a different one. Maybe if you can do like a Pittman where you get like a Pickens in a first and you send Pittman in a second. Not the 201, but like in a future year. Right? That could make a lot of sense for you too. As far as JT goes, you know, there's a very small list of players I'd like to go to from JT. And I don't really think yet. You just don't want to tear down in this league. Like we don't want to go from JT to like, you know, James Cook in a 10-man league. I wouldn't mind actually like trying to use JT, and could JT in like the 301 get you to like Jahmyr Gibbs range? Probably not Bijan, but you know, it's worth trying. I don't think it happens, but yeah, I think those are the main moves. I'll say this: if you can use Josh Downs to tier up anywhere, I'm doing it, right? So does that mean I can combine Downs plus Pittman plus probably not Olave, but Pittman, DJ Moore, and tier up? Then I'm definitely doing that. Like, can Downs and Pittman, you know, what could that turn into for you? Can Downs and Pittman turn into an AJ Brown? You know, a Malik Neighbors? I don't know, probably not. But it's worth talking to people and seeing if that's possible. So I think those are the main moves I would make with your team. Again, don't feel like you have to tear down, but certainly it's an option considering if you can stay inside the top 3. Inside the top 4 is a little more risky because you're kind of getting the leftovers of that top tier. Not that it's bad, you just don't control the future, if that makes sense. What's up, Albert? Welcome in, my man. Jeremy, let me know if I answered all your questions. Let me know if there's anything in particular that I didn't answer that you wanted me to cover. This is your time to shine. I want to give you a second here before I move on. But again, if we play out the ideal world, it's where you trade down. Okay. And even if you're able to, I think if you're able to turn like Pittman into Pickens in a first, like let's play that out as like your ideal world of what's just happened for you if you get these deals done. And let's say you pay JT in the 301 and you get Jahmyr Gibbs, for example. Okay, so if we pulled off all these moves, here's what our team would look like. Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels, same quarterbacks down here. We'd have Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Brooks. At wide receiver, we'd have DK Metcalf. We'd have George Pickens, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, and Chris Olave. And at tight end, we'd still have Kyle Pitts. And by the way, in that scenario, we also have a first in a future year as well. And who has Pickens? Like, is his first projected to look pretty high? Yeah, I mean, his team's hanging on by a thread, my man. Like, Kirk and Geno. I mean, we're hanging on by a thread over here, so definitely possible. But yeah, Jeremy, let me know if I answered everything. Let me know if there's any questions that you have, things that I didn't answer well enough. He says, I appreciate it. I think I'm good. That's great to hear, man. That's great to hear. Awesome. Let me send you this screenshot. Can I get it all in one? Let's see. That's what she said. Actually, what might make better sense here is to just lower. There we go. Let me send you the screenshot here. That way you have access to it. Don't forget to bookmark this stream. You can always come back to it and watch. Now I'm just going to save this for you and send it your way. Let's see, where are you here? But yeah, your team's in a good spot. Like I said, you're only a couple moves away from being in that A tier as a team. But right now, we're just shy of that A tier. So I'm going to send you through this. Did that save? I don't think that saved. But the good news is we've got Command Z. Best thing ever invented. So let's send this your way, brother. Let's see. Let's try this again. Can you save for me? Is it gonna let me send this to you? Yes, it is. Okay, great. All right, so that is going your way. And again, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the review. Hopefully that is helpful moving forward. What's up, Fantasy Football Garage? Welcome in, my man. We're going to go ahead and mark that complete. The next team we're looking at today is called Marvin's Room. And, oh, it's from the same guy. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, it just didn't update. From Danny Deems, sorry. It just didn't update on my end. Danny Deems is who submitted this team. If you're Danny Deems, let us know in the chat. Ryan, what's up, my man? You got a trade question? Ryan says, trade start 8, Superflex, half PPR, Burrow, Rodgers, Brissett, Javonte Spears. Okay, what's the question here, man? Trade the 101 for Kyler Pittman and the 210. Yeah, that's not enough for me in a start 8. Yeah, like, if you're telling me, like, I get Kyler and A.J. Brown, absolutely. Kyler and Pittman doesn't move mountains for me. I know a lot of people would probably be happy with that trade, but I need to get in a higher tier of wide receiver. What, Kyler in London? Maybe Kyler A.J. Brown range. It's just not enough for me personally from the deals that I've seen. All right, next team we're looking at here is from Danny Deems. Shout out to Danny. Thank you for the support, man. Thank you for signing up and becoming a member, I believe. Or this is just the a la carte review. If you want your team reviewed, guys, very, very simple. All you got to do is go to the link that I just put in the chat. It will also be in the pinned comments later on. But that's going to take you to a website that looks like this. Enter in your league details, what team you want us to look at. Make sure the rookie picks are correct. Enter your Discord name and any information that you want us to know here. And then you've got Zach and Badaki right here. We've got 3 different tiers, different options for you. But let's get to the next one. And by the way, the other option is by becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the code LAND. So you can just go to the website, become a yearly member with the code LAND. You'll get a complimentary team review when you do so. I think that's the best bang for your buck, but a lot of people like this other format too. Okay, so getting into Danny's team here. He says, I'm the reigning champion in this league, and I'd like to know how I should continue to improve this team. It's only the second year of this Dynasty League, and in all honesty, I won earlier than I expected to. Regardless, I've made a lot of moves since, including a trade for Marvin, and my team looks a lot different now, but I still think I could continue to make some moves. Some of the guys are hard to trade with, but there are a few open trades at times. I'd love to know your thoughts. Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Awesome blossom. Let's dive into it. First thing I have to do is actually hit the start button, let that load, and here we go. All right, so Better Call Hall is a team name? I thought that was the previous team name. No, your team name is Marvin's Room. Yeah, there we go. Marvin's Room. Perfect. So 12-man league. This league is not all that... What's the best way to say it? Like, it's an even league right now. You know, there's no true taco. I am him. Who, by the way, at the bottom of the league says, I am him. Are you him? You're the worst team in the league, apparently. But, you know, his team isn't even that bad. Like, Lamar Jackson, McCarthy, Goff, White, Olave, you know, Cooper, Samuel. It's not actually that bad for being one of the worst teams in the league. And you can tell this is a very even league because you're currently ranked 8th. And you said that you won the league. So, again, goes to show why I've been encouraging people not to completely blow their teams up ever. Because as long as you get into the playoffs, crazy things happen all the time. And anyone can win the championship once you're in the playoffs. I mean, that's plenty of leagues last year I was in where I thought I was rebuilding and made it into the playoffs. And then I actually won the whole thing. So just don't be, you know, so... If you can make it into the playoffs, I think you should be competing. It's basically what I'm trying to say. Now, that doesn't mean we go all in and we're reckless, but doesn't mean we sell assets either. Okay, so we are in a 12-man start 10 super flex tight end premium. 12-man start 10. So we're looking at this range here. A good size league for sure. 12-man, so everyone's team's going to be a little bit worse than a 10-man. And you can start 5 wide receivers. So we got 3 flex spots. I like that. I think I personally feel this should be the minimum to keep things spicy. But it's just one man's opinion. So it doesn't mean that one man is right. Okay, cool. So our team name is Marvin's Room. And here's what our team looks like. Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Bo Nix. I really like that group right there. I love Love and Murray. And then Bo Nix is a really great third wild card on your roster. At running back, we got Kenneth Walker, Stevenson, Montgomery, Kendre Miller. You know, definitely no like top 5 superstar, but it's a good room. At wide receiver, you got Marvin, Dell, Kirk, Deontay, and then Dallas Goedert at tight end. I do think Dallas Goedert is an underrated tight end right now in the community. He's been top 12 in points per game in 5 straight years. 1 year ago, he was top 5 in points per game. So I actually do think he is a little bit underrated, and he's a fine starter in a 12-man league. You know, in a 10-man, there's probably a better starter out there, right? You should probably look at alternative options. But in a 12-man league, I don't know. I feel like he's more than suitable. All right. CB says that receiver show got people acting like McDaniels is still running the show in Vegas. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. Did I say something about the Raiders? I don't remember. Maybe I did. Did I? I can't remember. I might have. My mind is so like college football when I'm not on the stream or doing content for you guys. So I haven't actually been able to watch the entire show just yet. I've watched episode 1, but I need to watch the rest. But okay, so if we look at this team, to be honest, I am very surprised that you won the league last year. Clearly, you've made some moves, but just thinking about last year, Kyler Murray was coming off an injury, right? And you didn't have Bo Nix last year. Ken Walker was okay. Stevenson was pretty bad. Monty was pretty good. But Dell was injured as well. Christian Kirk was injured. Deontay Johnson was not doing his thing in Pittsburgh. I'm actually shocked that you won the league last year. Your team must look completely different to how it looked when you actually won the championship. But if we were to give this a grade, really no top 5 player at any position outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. So we are not top heavy at all. To me, this is like C plus B minus range is where I would put you. C plus to B minus. I am also curious, Crime Lord, what the trade for Marvin Harrison was. Maybe if we end up getting Marvin's room in the chat with us, he can tell us. Or if he's watching this later, I'm sure he'll leave a comment and say this is the trade. So, yeah, not a bad team at all. Like, C plus might seem harsh because you are coming off a championship. And look, your team isn't actually bad. Like, if we're looking at your starting lineup here, you're going to start Jordan Love, Kyler Murray. Great. You're going to start Kenneth Walker, Monty, or Stevenson. Fine. You're going to start Marvin, Dell, and then at flex, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk. And your third could probably be Stevenson or Monty. And then Goddard. Like, that's not a bad lineup at all. But you're like 1 or 2 injuries away from being a top 3 pick, I think, in this league. You're very close. Takes 1 ACL tear from Ken Walker and Monty to take a step back this year. Or, it takes... I don't want to wish that on you, obviously, but you're very close to, to being back in the thing. But obviously, if you make the playoffs, what if Marvin Harrison's a superstar from day one, right? What if in this new offense, Kenneth Walker just absolutely blows up? What if Kendre Miller actually develops and Bo Nix is better than people are thinking? And, Deontay Johnson actually dominates in Carolina and Dallas Goedert has a bounce back. So I can play both sides of the coin. The good news is you have all of your picks in the next couple of drafts. It looks like outside of your 4th round picks next year, which we don't really care too much about our 4th round pick. But looking at this team, I'll be honest with you, there's not like I want the chat. I very rarely do this. I want the chat to give me ideas for your team. And I'll tell you why. When I look at your team, like, is there a single tear down or trade player here? You know what I mean? Like, we're not tearing down from Jordan Love. I think he's undervalued. Same with Kyler Murray. And Bo Nix is also, like, he's going in the 7th, 8th, 9th round in startups. Like, you're not going to tear down from Bo Nix. And your quarterback room is already good. I think you have 2 guys who have top 5 upside. So, to me, doesn't make sense to touch that room. At running back, I mean, Ken Walker's a fine starter. We're certainly not tearing down from Ken Walker. He's already lost a little bit of value in the community. We're not going to like attach a 1st round pick with this team to go out and get, like Devon Achane or get a second back. We're not doing a move like that. Ramondre Stevenson, maybe. Maybe we can look at moving Ramondre Stevenson. Montgomery, I mean, you're not getting anywhere near a 1st round value for him. People know how old he is. Tank Dell is someone I want to acquire, not someone I want to sell. Christian Kirk and Deontay Johnson, at most you could get a 2nd round pick for them, when in reality, they'll probably give you good production for a couple years. Josh Downs, maybe we could look at moving Downs. Marvin Harrison, we want to build around. And Dallas Goedert has like no respect in the community whatsoever. So really, and Styles kind of mentioned it, the only player that you could trade and truly tear down with right now is probably Marvin Harrison Jr. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, like, if I've got Marvin Harrison Jr. on my team, I'm probably not selling the guy. I'm probably just holding on to him. I really, really want to know what that trade was, though, for Marvin Harrison Jr. I wish we could see that, because I'm wondering if we put ourselves in a little bit of a difficult spot to acquire him or not. But there's really no obvious tear down here, man. Like, there's no excess of draft picks that we can work with. There's no CJ Stroud that I want to tear down from. There's no JT here where we can look at different moves. You don't have like a Drake London or a Garrett Wilson that we can maybe tear down from, or, a Sam Laporta, or we can look at options. It's a little bit limited. He says get 2 wide receivers like London and Nico range if needed for Marv. Yeah, that's not bad. JB says these are all the players you want to sell more than what someone's willing to give you. Exactly. JB, you just said it as perfect as I could. These are all players that when you're selling them in the market, the offers you're getting, you're like, that's not actually that good of an offer. That's actually not what I was really looking for. So that's kind of why I'm struggling a little bit with this one. Okay. Man, what is the path forward for this team? I think patience is the path forward for this team. It's like patience and selling at the right time. So, like Stevenson is a name I'm willing to look at moving, but it might not be the right time. Montgomery is a name I'm willing to move, but right now it's not the right time. I mean, Deontay Johnson and Christian Kirk we could look at moving, but again, right now, very difficult to move. Proofy said he made 6 trades this season. How do you know? Are you in a league with him? Because that would be very helpful for us to know. Are you in this league, Proofy? Oh, how do you know that? Oh, Dynasty Daddy. Great. We definitely need to implement that feature. Wait, so how did you... hold on. You don't have his sleeper ID, though. How did you find that? You probably paused the video here. You took his league ID and put it into Dynasty Daddy, didn't you? Okay. Let's have a look, because that is a great feature. We definitely need to implement that. Okay, in team review, then click on the roster team name. Oh, is it going to make us pay? I can't remember how Dynasty Daddy works. Power rankings, right? Okay, yeah. Click power rankings. Click on his roster, then go to activity. Okay, cool. Yeah, we absolutely need to incorporate this. And guys, I promise you we will. I mean, if you were with us when the site launched in March of last year, you wouldn't recognize what it looks like today. Okay, activity. This is great. We can actually look at some of the moves that you've made. Okay, so here's the deal. You got Marvin in a second, and you sent away Nico, Cook, and a first next year. Man, I'll tell you what, like, I get the reason of doing that deal because we want Marvin, but that's the kind of deal I'm probably making in like a start 8 or 9. But in a start 10, I'm not so sure. I mean, there's not really much sense in me telling you like that you lost that trade. I'm not saying you did, but yeah, that's a little bit difficult. No, this is helpful, Proofy. This is helpful. Styles says, "Oh wow, Dynasty Daddy is telling on people." Well, what does the chat think about this? I mean, would you guys... I mean, I don't want to like spend too much time on it because it's not like we can go back and reverse this trade or anything. But this feels like the kind of trade you probably make if you have, you know, a start 8 or 9. But I wonder what this would say in my rankings on the trade calculator. Let's see. So if we put in your league settings, you're a 12-man... super flex. There's a tight end premium in this as well, right? 12-man super flex, tight end premium, PPR. Okay, and you've got 3 flexes total. So if I receive Marvin and a second, let's just say it's let's just put the seconds as early to mid in 25, okay? And then if I was to send Nico, what else did we see? James Cook, a 2025 mid. Let's do the same for each of those picks. And what the 5th round pick isn't going to play a part here. But what would the community say? The community prefers the Nico side. And I also prefer the Nico side. And I think this is one of those examples where it really feels like the Flock Fantasy Trade Calculator is helping people out, because your roster is so important. I mean, let's say you were in, you know, a 2, 4, 6, 7. Let's say you were in a start 8. I think this probably changes it. Well, it makes it relatively close. How about in the community's eyes? So I think the roster construction really is important there. But anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on it. But what's funny is, like, that's the kind of tier down we probably would have suggested if you wanted to. Let's see. Crazy how they can pull that data. Yeah. Style says, no, I didn't trade Puka for a second after week 1 last year. Maddie says, I'd make this trade on a rebuild 100%. He's probably a Marv fan. Yeah, no, I hear you. But this is the kind of probably return you're looking for, Marvin. Let's look at some of the other moves that you did. You sent Goff, White, Olave, McMillan in a second. And you got back Love, Brown, Dell in a second. And I don't mind that deal. I'm not in love with it. Again, like a smaller league, I think it makes more sense. You're making a lot of moves that I would make if I was in like a start 8 or 9. Anyway, we're not here to roast your transactions. As we just continue roasting his transactions, like I hope he's not. Can you see free agents? Proofy, can you see free agents on here? How do you see free agents in here? Tell me where to go. But anyway, again, like, we can't go back and redo any of those moves, but here's what I'll say. Last thing I'll say. Again, I'm not trying to like dive in too deep or anything, but I think making the moves that you made, because a lot of the moves that you made involved giving more assets to get less assets in return. And ultimately, if you do that so many times, you don't have much wiggle room at some point. Do you know what I mean? Like, at some point, you put yourself out of assets to play around with. Top left, player rankings. And then you said free agents tab. Power rankings, player rankings, and then... Okay. I didn't do it right. How did I not do it right? Oh, free agents. Okay. Okay, so... Yeah, I mean, your waiver wires are bare. Completely bare. What rookies have we got on there? We got Bub Means, Isaiah Davis. I mean, yeah, you're naked. Absolutely naked. But again, okay, so let's try and be helpful here. I do think patience is the best route forward. I think you've already made quite a few moves. But with Ramondre Stevenson, I mean, like, I personally would feel better about Rachaad White if you can turn Ramondre into Rachaad White. He's on the better offense. Also, if you could turn that into, like, an Isaiah Pacheco. I know Pacheco doesn't have a long-term deal. But, I feel better about the offense that he's in. And with running backs, I really don't play, longer than a year span anyway. If you can turn that into Jonathan Brooks or a Benson, that might not help you this year, but I think it will help you long-term. I was going to say James Cook, but you just traded him away. As far as Montgomery, I would say trade in season when people realize they need running backs. Okay. And as far as Deontay and Kirk, trade in season if they start off hot. You don't have to, but like field all offers. Previous, I'll be here all year if anyone needs help. But yeah, like I said, we kind of put ourselves in a position where it's a little, it's difficult to make moves because we did lose a lot of assets that we could, you know, be flexible with. For example, I like the K-Dot move, by the way. This is a really, really smart move. Going from one tight end that you might not ever be able to start to another and getting a third, I think that was very smart. But for example, in this deal, we go from Kyler. Essentially, you're basically tiering up from Herbert and Kyler is the way I'm viewing this. And you add Downs, but you send away Wandale in a second. Like, okay, that second round pick that we just lost is an asset that we might have been able to use in a deal. All right, looking at this deal where we got Jordan Love and Tank Dell, really, right? Well, we lost a Zamir White in that deal. That would have given us some wiggle room. And we technically tiered down from Olave to Tank Dell. So, again, losing assets there. And then the biggest one here with the Marvin one, you lose a first-round pick. And you lose a James Cook. So, you've made the moves I think that you can right now. Be patient, let the season come to you, and go from there. Proof, he says, now when you review forward, you can check them out and check out your enemies in your own leagues. Yes, I love it. But yeah, I feel like this might have been one of the more unhelpful reviews. I really hope it was helpful when you're watching this later. I think just sometimes you can it happens so often. It really does. Sometimes you can overdo trades. You can just trade because it's really fun to do. And then you're in a position where you're like, okay, I got a lot of limited moves here moving forward. But if everyone stays healthy, you'll definitely be in the playoffs. And we know anything can happen from once you get into the playoffs onwards. I'm going to send this to you over in the fantasy hotline. Main path forward, I would say, is patience. That doesn't mean that you can't explore any offers. That doesn't mean that you don't trade anymore. It just means we might be a little bit limited with the options that we currently have. So, but all right, guys, I'm going to end the stream with a Q&A here. I'll answer 5 of your questions. Good news is anyone who wants their team reviewed, the turnaround time is very high right now. That was the last review that we had to get out at this point of the season. You know, if you try and submit in, you know, January, February, March, April, we will have a backlog that we're continually working through. I mean, we won't ever be like, you know, multiple weeks or anything, but we got that backlog that we're trying to get through. At this point of the year, if you submit, we're pretty much going to get to yours on the next stream. So if you want your team reviewed, I just put a link in the chat for you. It'll take you to the a la carte page where you can sign up with the land guys. The other option is by going to flockfantasy.com/land, signing up for a yearly membership with the promo code LAND. That is the best bang for your buck. It gets you all the premium tools on the website, as well as a team review. So let's finish off with a couple questions. If you guys have a couple questions, I mean, if we're all good, then I might go plan out some content and get some lunch over here. Might watch the latest Kill Tony episode with Shane Gillis. Big fan. Very, very funny. They got Biden and Trump impersonators on the show. And I don't care who you support, all right? It doesn't matter to me. It does not matter to me. Only other thing I'll say is I think I'm going to start putting out content. That was the question. Rioza says, when are you streaming NCAA? All right, so here's what happened. I started playing the game yesterday, and I started playing Dynasty mode with the University of Virginia. All right, here's a link to my other channel if you want to sub. And I didn't realize I didn't have enough storage. So I'm recording. I'm like 7 hours deep of recording. And basically half of it saved. So I don't know what I can turn that into. Maybe I should live stream. Like maybe live streaming would be easier than making videos. Maybe I should look into that. But anyway, what's for lunch? That's a good question. I'll probably make a turkey sandwich. I love a good turkey sam. Can't go wrong. But that's probably it for today, guys. I do appreciate y'all big time. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks for watching the video. Hit the like button, and we'll see you very soon. All love.